Short enough. Okay. I'm going to read from an essay about the last person I ever shared a bedroom with. And it's called The Big Snore. If you're both a writer and a teller of stories, people are always telling you to write the stories you tell. What they don't realize is how distinct the two modes are, how different the language for each, and how disparate the audience is. The tale told must adjust itself to its audience. The teller must judge timing and response, cut as she speaks, leap if necessary, hold segments, or flesh out others to arrive at the denouement exactly on time. Stories told too long lose their audiences. Stories abbreviated too much have the sound of boredom, and boredom in the teller will kill any audience flat. The most important distinction between the story told and the story written, however, lies in the fact that a storyteller controls something that a story writer never can: who it is that actually hears the story. The storyteller can wait for the right audience to come up, and when it's there, use it to effect. If one has the audience one needs, it isn't difficult to bring the conversation around to fit a story one wants to tell. Couples do this all the time, sometimes as teams, with stories well rehearsed, or, given the public nature of an audience, for revenge on each other. One has only to consider the subject of snoring. Snoring stories abound. Because the great majority of snorers seem to be men, the stories themselves are often told by women. To see a man, upright, shirt and tie, a wine glass held knowingly to his lips, reduced by a snoring story to a slack-jawed monster of darkness, is to know the very nature of female revenge. How can he deny what he is not even aware of? What she and her treachery may even produce witnesses to? And if she's a good enough storyteller, she'll quote details so fitting that after a while the audience doesn't care how faithful her account is, or who suffers in the telling. Part of the treachery of snoring stories has to do with the fact that snoring takes place in bed and is so absolutely unsexy. No one wants to be known as a snorer, nor to be laughed at on its account, and yet snoring can be hilarious. Audiences adore a well-told snoring story. Partly because of the absurdity of snoring itself, but also because of the nature of its victims, snorer and snoree. And because its hero, snoring itself, always emerges victorious. I told my first snoring story quite early, without any intention of revenge. I told it to illustrate a man's sweetness. It began, in fact, the first night I ever spent with him, in a single bed in a tiny room. No sooner had I managed, in the 9 inches of bed left to me, to start sinking towards sleep, than a rumble, more like a growl, or as I thought it then, a heroic call of the wild, began to roll out of him. I'd never heard anything like it. I touched him lightly with a finger. No good. Followed a bit harder. He heaved and hauled himself over onto his side. And then there was silence, and for a while, until I was just losing consciousness, he rolled back onto his back and the racket started up. Dawn came, the sun shone into the room, he stretched an arm over for me. "Can I bring you a cup of tea?" he murmured. "No," I snapped, "and I'll never spend another night in the same bed with you." First I tried earplugs. Every kind available, nothing, however, was equal to the noise he made. Try tapping him gently, friend suggested. Say, "Darling, you're snoring." Turn him onto his side. I found, however, that the very effort of saying, "Darling, you're snoring," woke me up completely. So too did the heaving of an adult man from his back onto his side. So too did the responses of the man himself. "No, no, I'm just going to the beach," he would say. "Hang on a minute, I'll see if she's on the bus." Wide awake in the dark, I began to wonder what was going on in his head. I prod him more vigorously and demand who's on the bus. What beach? So that he, in turn, would lean over and shake my shoulder. Wake up, darling, he'd say, you're having a bad dream. I now was beginning to realize from the faces of my friends and in the way they asked me to repeat the details that the snoring, for all its torture, had the markings of a real story. Even the characters were ripe for comedy. My man happened to take himself very seriously. We had serious arguments as to whose problem it was, snorers or snorees. But he had also never learned to be laughed at. More than this, he was a bad sport. Suitable as the story might be, there was no way I could imagine going public with it, not yet anyway. Meanwhile, we continued to search for a cure. Tennis ball in the back of pyjamas came up one day. He'd read about this somewhere and brought me a pyjama top and showed me where to sew a pocket. A tennis ball against the spine, he explained, encourages the snorer to sleep on his side. That night, in went the ball. In came my snorer, a prominent hump between his shoulders, walking seriously round to his side of the bed. Neither of us mentioned the hump. Neither of us laughed. Good night, lights off. And then at 3 a.m. there it was again, the heroic rattle, the bellow, the wheeze. Darling, I said, the ball is not working. Where's the umbrella? He shouted. We moved on to White Sound, top of the line. Wind, sea, and rain. But they all sounded the same and provided only background to the snoring. I turned up the volume, but then the storm itself kept me awake. And woke him too. Back went the machine to the store. I called my friends with the latest favours. At least we could laugh together, they louder than I. Without sleep, my whole life seemed to be taking place 3 feet behind my eyes. Then one night he came home with an announcement. Ace bandages, he said. It was his idea, and the theory went like this. If his wrists could be tied to the side of the bed, so that he couldn't roll onto his back, he wouldn't be able to snore. He was so optimistic about this idea that I too pretended to be full of hope. In fact, I now had my secret hope fixed on having the bedroom to myself. It was the only hope I had. He unravelled the bandage and instructed me on how to bind his wrists in a figure 8 and then to secure them to the bedpost with a reef knot. This done, I walked around to my side of the bed and climbed in. I tried not to think what would happen if a fire broke out. Or if he needed to go to the lavatory. I fell asleep. At 4:05, I was woken up at what sounded like a cry of pain. I sat up an alarm, switched on the light. There he was at the far end of the bed, his head twisted round and upwards like one of Picasso's Guernica horses. Back arched, mouth gaping. I scrambled over to him and released his hands from the band. The next day, as I drooped over breakfast, the cleaning woman came to stand before me. Yes, Conchita, must I wash the ropes? What ropes? Ropes for the bed. Looking at the floor. And then I understood that there was nothing for it. The story had to be told.